Imagine waking up tomorrow, walking into your favorite supermarket, filling your basket with everything you need: bread, milk, rice, fruit, then walking to the checkout, only to discover money doesn't exist. The cashier smiles, then asks, "What are you willing to trade?" You look around. Someone offers a basket of eggs. Another person has fresh fish. Someone else brought firewood. Suddenly, buying a loaf of bread isn't simple anymore. You have nothing the baker wants, so you leave empty-handed. Today, that sounds ridiculous. But for most of human history, that was completely normal. There were no coins, no banknotes, no credit cards, no bank accounts, no digital payments, not even a number telling you how much something was worth. For tens of thousands of years, human beings survived without money. And somehow, they still built villages, raised families, created tools, crossed continents, and traded with one another. So this raises an interesting question. If humans lived for so long without money, why did we invent it at all? Long before coins, long before banks, long before anyone had ever imagined money, humans traded directly. If you had something I wanted, and I had something you wanted, we simply exchanged them. A hunter might trade fresh meat for a new stone axe. A fisherman might exchange today's catch for warm animal skins before winter. A family with extra berries could trade them for firewood. Everyone relied on what they could make, find, or hunt. This system is known today as barter. At first, it worked surprisingly well. Small villages were filled with people who knew each other. Everyone understood who was good at making tools, who caught the most fish, who made the strongest spears, who collected the best hides. Instead of trying to do everything themselves, people slowly began to specialize. Some became hunters, others became tool makers, others became potters, others became farmers. For the first time, one person's skill could support an entire community. Trade didn't just exchange objects. It exchanged knowledge. It exchanged time. It exchanged survival itself. For thousands of years, barter helped human civilization grow. It seemed like the perfect system. Until people discovered one enormous problem. But barter had one enormous weakness. Imagine, you own a goat, and today you need bread. So you walk to the village baker. You offer him your goat, but the baker shakes his head. He already has 2 goats. What he really needs is firewood. Now you have a problem. You don't need firewood. You need bread. So first, you must find someone willing to trade firewood for your goat. Then, you can return to the baker and trade the firewood for bread. One simple purchase has suddenly become 3 separate trades. Sometimes, the person with the firewood wanted fish instead of a goat. The fisherman wanted a new spear. The toolmaker wanted animal skins. And the hunter wanted bread. Entire chains of trades had to happen before anyone got what they actually wanted. Economists call this the double coincidence of wants. Both people had to want exactly what the other person was offering at exactly the same time. If they didn't, the trade simply couldn't happen. As villages became towns and towns became cities, this problem only grew worse. The more people there were, the harder it became to find the perfect trade. Human civilization had reached a crossroads. Barter had helped build the world, but it could no longer keep up with it. Humanity needed something better. So, what could everyone agree was valuable? Different civilizations came up with different answers. In some places, people traded with cattle. The more cows you owned, the wealthier you were. In fact, the English word capital comes from the Latin word capit, meaning head, because wealth was once measured by counting heads of cattle. Elsewhere, salt became so valuable, it was sometimes used to pay workers. Without salt, food spoiled quickly. People couldn't preserve meat, entire communities depended on it. That's why salt was once worth far more than most people imagine today. On islands across the Pacific, beautiful seashells became money, not because you could eat them or build with them, but because they were rare, difficult to collect, and almost everyone wanted them. In other parts of the world, people traded with tea bricks, animal skins, beads, copper rings, even enormous stone discs. Some of these stone coins were so gigantic, they weighed several tons. Nobody carried them anywhere. Ownership simply changed, while the stone stayed exactly where it was. It sounds strange today, but every one of these objects solved the same problem. Instead of finding someone who wanted exactly what you had, you only needed something that everyone agreed had value. Humanity had discovered an extraordinary idea. Money didn't have to be useful. It only had to be trusted. And soon, One material would prove better than all the others. Metal. Metal changed everything. Unlike cattle, metal didn't wander away. Unlike food, it didn't rot. Unlike shells, it was difficult to fake. But not every metal was suitable for money. Iron was strong, yet it rusted. Copper was useful, but it was too common. Then humans discovered something extraordinary: gold. Gold didn't rust, it didn't corrode, it didn't lose its shine after years buried underground. A gold necklace could look almost the same hundreds of years later. Silver shared many of these qualities. Both metals were rare enough that they couldn't be found everywhere. But they weren't so rare that nobody could obtain them. Most importantly, they could be melted, poured into molds, cut into smaller pieces, or combined into larger ones, without losing their value. For the first time, wealth became something people could easily carry. A handful of gold could represent months, or even years, of hard work. Across different civilizations, people reached remarkably similar conclusions. Without ever speaking to one another, many chose the same solution: gold and silver. But there was still one problem. How could you know whether a piece of gold was real or whether someone had secretly mixed it with cheaper metals? Every trade required weighing it, testing it, arguing about its purity. Trade had become easier, but it still wasn't simple. Then, someone had an idea that would change money forever. A small piece of metal, stamped with an official mark, the first coin, around 2,600 years ago, in an ancient kingdom called Lydia, located in what is now modern-day Turkey. Someone had a revolutionary idea. Instead of weighing pieces of gold, for every single trade, why not create pieces that already had a guaranteed value? So they heated precious metal, poured it into small round shapes, and stamped each one with an official symbol. That tiny mark changed everything. It told everyone, this coin contained a trusted amount of precious metal. You no longer needed to argue about its purity or carry around weighing scales. If people trusted the stamp, they trusted the coin. Trade suddenly became much faster. A farmer could sell grain to someone he had never met. A merchant could buy cloth without testing every piece of silver. For the first time, complete strangers could exchange goods with confidence. The idea spread rapidly. Soon, the Greeks made their own coins, then the Persians, then the Romans. Before long, coins were traveling farther than the people who carried them. They crossed mountains, sailed across seas, and connected civilizations that had never met before. Money was no longer just making trade easier. It was helping build the world's first great economies. But carrying thousands of heavy metal coins created a brand new problem. The richer you became, the heavier your money became. Humanity needed an even lighter solution. Imagine carrying your entire life savings in a small leather bag, every coin made of solid metal. The richer you became, the heavier that bag became. A successful merchant might carry hundreds, even thousands, of coins. The weight alone could become exhausting. And there was another danger. Thieves. A heavy pouch of gold was impossible to hide. Everyone could hear it. Everyone could see it. The more successful you became, the more attractive you became to robbers. Humanity needed a way to carry wealth without carrying the metal itself. The solution appeared in China. More than 1,000 years ago, merchants began leaving their heavy coins with trusted traders. In return, they received a written receipt. That small piece of paper represented the value of the coins being stored safely elsewhere. Instead of carrying kilograms of metal, people carried a single sheet of paper. At first, many thought the idea was ridiculous. How could a thin piece of paper possibly be worth more than a bag full of gold? The answer was surprisingly simple. People weren't trusting the paper. They were trusting the promise behind it. Eventually, governments began printing their own official banknotes. Now, the paper itself became money. Trade became faster. Travel became easier. Businesses grew larger than ever before. Money had become lighter, but it was still something you could lose. Someone could steal it. Fire could destroy it. Water could ruin it. Humanity wasn't finished changing money yet. Soon, money would become something you couldn't even hold in your hands. For thousands of years, money had one thing in common. You could hold it. Coins, banknotes, gold, silver, they all had physical form. But then, banks began keeping records instead of moving piles of money. If you deposited 100 coins, the bank didn't promise to keep those exact coins forever. Instead, it simply recorded that you owned 100 coins worth of value. For the first time, wealth became a number. Then came checks. Instead of handing someone a bag of coins, you handed them a signed piece of paper. Later, credit cards arrived. Now, you didn't even need cash. A single plastic card could buy almost anything. Then, the internet changed everything again. Online banking appeared. Money could travel across countries in seconds without a single coin or banknote changing hands. Today, millions of people buy food, pay bills, book flights, and even send money around the world using nothing more than a phone. The strange part is, most of today's money doesn't physically exist at all. It's simply information, stored inside computers, numbers, moving from one account to another. Humanity had gone from trading goats to trading digits. And yet, despite all those changes, the most important part of money had never actually changed. It was never the gold or the paper or the plastic. It was something far more powerful: trust. So, what is money? Is it gold, paper, plastic, or numbers on a screen? Not really. Imagine someone handed you a perfectly printed banknote, but no one else on Earth accepted it. Would it still be valuable? Of course not. Now imagine a simple piece of paper, printed by your government. Millions of people accept it every single day. You can exchange it for food, for clothing, for a home, for almost anything you need. The paper itself is almost worthless. Its true value comes from something invisible: trust. Money works because billions of people believe it works. That shared belief is one of the most powerful ideas humanity has ever created. It allows complete strangers to cooperate, to trade, to build businesses, to cross oceans, to create entire civilizations. Without that trust, modern society would struggle to function. In a strange way, money isn't really made from metal or paper or plastic. It's made from confidence. The next time you tap your phone, swipe your card, or hand someone a banknote, remember, you're holding one of humanity's greatest inventions, a story that began not with banks, not with governments, and not with gold, but with two people trying to make a simple trade. One had something to offer, the other had something to give, and somewhere between them, an idea was born, an idea that connected villages, built cities, created empires, and now moves trillions of dollars across the world every single day. Money didn't make humans intelligent. Humans invented money because they already were. The story of money is really the story of cooperation, of trust, and of one simple question: how can two complete strangers help each other without ever meeting before?